All right. I feel it is important for me to go over some key terms and topics that I bring up in various other videos that I feel need to be clarified in greater detail. The word and term belief system, I feel like, is usually regarded or associated with religion, or like, what are your beliefs about reality? What's the purpose of life? Like, that's what people think of when you think of belief systems. But belief systems are your literally every belief about the world around you, your belief about your relationships. Um, I can't trust anyone, so therefore you won't trust anyone. You will find it incredibly difficult because you have a belief system that no one is worthy of trust. uh, your belief system when it comes to financials. Like, I've always, for me personally, this is something very personal, that I've always had a lack mentality because I grew up very, very poor. And when I say very, very poor, that's subjective to an extent, but for the most of the world, they would see my life as poor. And so it's attracting abundance is a little difficult for me because I have this ingrained belief that money is scarce, that resources and abundance is hard to come by. So that's a belief system. Um, your belief system that your child is just awful. Oh, they're just a bad kid. If you literally believe that about your kid, you will notice only the bad things about your kid. So, when I use the word belief systems, it's literally how you choose to believe various topics of your reality. That was a very poor way of saying it, but your belief system that you can't have your dream job will probably keep you from ever having a dream job because you believe it to be true, you know? So I want you to be very mindful of the things you believe in or your old beliefs. And I want you to check yourself. Like, when things come up and you have a thought of like, of course it's like this. I've always had bad luck. Well, if you believe you have bad luck, you're going to feel unlucky and you're going to attract negative situations because you don't, you can't even conceptualize what your life would be like if things worked out for you. So check yourself. When you notice you have a habit of thinking one way, say, where did I get it? Was it TV that told me that? Was it my parents that demonstrated this for me? Um, you can shape your own belief systems. Even though you've always believed it to be one way your whole life, does not mean you can't change that at any point. It doesn't change overnight. It's not a light switch. But bringing the awareness to, like, I don't like that belief system. It doesn't actually benefit me to believe that way. And then trying to make a daily practice that when that thought comes up, because it's ingrained in your psyche. So when that thought comes up, you have to be like, okay, I'm going to choose to see it differently. It's a practice. You have to continually do that before you can even pretend it feels real. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that whole fake it till you make it situation. You have control of how your perceptions are. And that's another word, perception. This word has been used so much in my current life because it I'm continually reminded that even though two people can experience the exact same thing, their perception of it is wildly different. And that's where everyone wants to hate on people for believing a certain type of way. Like, how could you even think that? You have no clue what lens they're viewing life through. So, everyone, basically, I believe everyone is the same internally. We all have this like same essence inside us, this soul, and the soul is very pure, and it has a lot of neutrality. It's neutral to everything until you see, do, think, witness something else that will change and mold and like bring color to this blank canvas. So two people could be having an argument, and one person can be like, "You're not hearing me," and for them, that is 100% true because they don't feel heard. The other person can be like, "I'm literally sitting here responding to everything you're saying, and I am listening." So for them, that's true. They are listening. Is it making the other person feel heard and understood? No. So both right, both completely different perceptions of the same thing. So when you get in an argument with somebody, or when you have conflict, or when someone else is having a bad day and you're like, geez, fuck off. Like, I'm literally just trying to have a good time and you're over here shitting on it. You gotta understand, you have no fucking clue what that person has lived, what they have witnessed, what belief systems they carry. Okay? So maybe, they had a very toxic relationship with their mother growing up. Okay? Very toxic relationship. So now, any woman who feels like they're an authority figure or above them in any sense, they're gonna give fucking attitude. They're not gonna like, because their belief system as women that have any power over me are bad or negative or have some negative association with that. So I think it's very important to understand perception. Very important to understand your belief systems, because that'll help you reframe and help you, instead of just being like, well, it's this way because this is how I feel and that's the only way it can be, realizing that there is 42 different ways to interpret or to understand something from different perspectives. Perspective is everything. And if you don't like your current perspective, you can change it. You can change it. So if you see something you don't like, say, okay, what do I need to change within me so that I can change this perception about this? What belief system or what ideology, what judgments am I speaking in my inner thoughts to create this friction that I can change within me to help ease this situation? Sometimes people are just too wounded to see outside of themselves, and that's something you just kind of have to deal with. People who are a little more self-aware, you can't be mad at people for not knowing what they don't know. You can't be mad at people for not being above the situation when they're drowning in it, So check your belief systems. Understand that everyone has a different perspective. And I want you guys, because I feel like there's such a... Today it's less about racism, but I almost feel like there's a war against age groups, right? So millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, boomers, right? We're all pitted against each other. Why? Because we grew up at different eras. We have different experiences of the world around us. And so for us younger generations, we look at the older ones like, get with the times, bro. What the hell? Why are you still such a bigot? We use all these words and we judge them equally, when you gotta understand, their family grew up bigoted, or their that's even a word. It sounded weird coming out of my mouth. They grew up in a surrounding where that thing wasn't tolerated. Whatever that thing is, it wasn't tolerated and it was looked down upon, and that's ingrained in their psyche. And if you guys don't know anything about neural networks, when you have a habit or a pattern or belief system, you create like maps in your mind, right? In your brain. And the ones you use most frequently are well beaten down. They are secure. You trust that. That's the way I think, right? Well, there are always other perspectives. There are always other trails or paths in your head that you could use, but because they're foreign to you, you almost don't even see that they're even there or they're present. So someone who's older has this very hardwired, like, this is reality. And it's very hard for them to reshape or remold or redirect into another perception, to be able to perceive or understand and fully comprehend somebody else's point of view. And that's okay. So basically, instead of hating that age group or that group of people in general or whatever is outside of you that you want to talk shit on, understand that they're doing their best with the frame of mind that they have. And if they choose not to grow, that's on them. That doesn't mean you have to hate them. That just means don't pay them any mind. You continue being the voice of reason where you can and where it's being heard. You're wasting your energy directing negativity towards other people when it's not going to change anything. So this whole, something I find on Tinder, because I'm on Tinder, ACAB, so all cops are bastards. That's very common. And I'm like, I understand there's a huge riff, and there's like Blue Lives Matter and then like ACAB and whatever. I am someone who's kind of an anarchist to an extent, not in the way that it is perceived in through movies and stuff, but like, I believe all humans can take care of themselves, and Most humans want to do good for themselves. And if they're harming themselves, that's harming themselves. Let them do as they please as long as they're not harming anybody else, is what I meant by that. And live and let live. Okay, so I'm not one for authority. I am not. Do I think all cops are bastards? No. Do I think that they are groomed into this false sense of God complex? Yeah, I do. Are all of them bad? No. I will tell you, as a white woman in Kansas, or, Missouri, but mostly I've lived most of my life in Kansas, I have been privileged. And that's something I've struggled with initially, like white privilege. I'm like, oh shit, it hasn't shown. Look at my nothing. I got a whole lot of nothing, lack mentality, right? But when I was with my ex-wife, she's Hispanic. She's Chicana, so she's born and raised here in America, but she looks Hispanic. Oh, love, I'll have to call you back. Okay. So to wrap this up, because I have a phone call coming in, she would get negative attention from cops simply because she looked like a thug, simply because she looked like trouble. And I've always had really positive experiences with cops because I'm a nice person. I don't have this, fuck you, cop, So it's interesting through perspective, though. I was able to see how they treat her and why someone else would have a very negative association with cops. And why, through my perception of being this sweet white, I'm not trying to do anything wrong. I've always had positive experiences. So just understand, not every person you perceive as bad is bad. They have their own grooming belief systems and, conditionings from their childhood, from being in school, from the brainwashing that their media did, their government at their age did, okay? Be forgiving. Be understanding. Live and let live. Stop sending negative energy to people that you cannot change. It's a waste of energy, okay? So I'm going to leave that there. Call my best friend back. Talk to you later.